Where's your kisses? Yay, let's do this.
The sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. I'll take you to a place we can see it all. Step off the edge.
Wow, Cambodia has been amazing. We have loved the journey. We love that you've joined us for the journey, and this is our last video. It's a very special one, and you'll see why in just a minute.
Because it's on. Ooh, ooh. Keep my fingers crossed. Oh yeah, it's on.
Hi, I'm Emma from the Backpacking Family. We travel the world as a family, and we've been backpacking through Cambodia with our baby boy. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We share our journey every week and we give loads of tips along the way. So we love to inspire you, we love to take you on our journey, but we also love to equip you for if you're going traveling yourself. So a quick YouTube family update. This video is very special. You know that we'll be making tips videos and journey videos, and this video is a little bit of a hybrid. So we're going to start doing these guides, and the guides are going to be very different to anything we've done before. It's kind of a mix of both. There's two reasons why we want to do these family-focused travel guides. Reason number one, it's more real. By doing a guide, you kind of get into the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day. Like, it's great showing you, woo, we climbed this mountain, but we maybe didn't show you that we spent the day before looking for nappies. We want to give you a real idea of what it's like traveling as a family through these places. Reason number two, we know that some of you are thinking of going to these places yourself as a family, and that is awesome. Well done, you guys. It is scary traveling with a family, but amazing. And so by making these guides, we can equip you and hopefully answer all your questions that just give you that kind of boost of confidence you need to go and travel these places yourself. So we're kicking off with Cambodia. We're then going to do Thailand and Laos. So these are really exciting videos. Our family-focused travel guides. So what can you expect from a family-focused travel guide? Well, of course, we're going to cover the main attractions, and then we're going to go into weather, money, visas, Wi-Fi and SIMs. We'll give you an idea of the kind of places you can stay, the kind of food you can get for all the family, transport, what it's like getting around with a pram or a sling. We tend to sling it, but we know a lot of you use prams. We'll talk safety, medical, and access to care, insurance. Oh, really exciting insurance. And toilet talk. Potty talk, buying nappies and buying other baby stuff, and we'll also go into the kind of things you'll want to pack for this country. And we'll talk to you about the general culture of that country towards families traveling. Some countries we've already found out are way better to travel as a family, and some countries, to be honest, are just a lot harder. So in each of these videos, we're going to have a real family focus and really honestly get to grips with what this country is like traveling as a backpacking family. So Cambodia is epic. It is crazy. I mean, really, really crazy to travel as a family, but so worth it. Of course, you have the amazing Angkor Wat. Most people go to Cambodia for Angkor Wat, and then they stay, if they do stay, which you should stay, and you should see our guide on why you should stay and see more Cambodia. And if they do stay, they find out they can get to national parks, you can go zip lining, you can go to incredible, beautiful beaches, and I mean, really stunning. It's a real country of contrast. One minute you feel like, wow, this place is amazing and I'm so in love with it and I couldn't be happier. The next minute you're sweaty, you're stressed, and you're wondering why on earth you came to Cambodia. It is an intense country to travel, even if you're traveling solo, but as a family, it's an intense country to travel. Weather. Cambodia, it's either hot and dry or hot and wet. It is an intense place weather-wise. There are cooler seasons, but on the whole, chances are you're just going to be baking and sweating, and you just have to get used to that. It is a hot tropical country. Sometimes it rains so hard the streets are like a river. We've done this before where we're wading through the streets and it's up to our knees. When we were doing some of the charity work, we were getting out to the villages and the really bad floods were up to our waist. And yeah, it can rain pretty hard, but typically it's not that bad in the cities and the towns you're likely to get to. Money. The local currency is a dual currency, which is quite confusing at first. You are pretty much fine with US dollars. US dollars are taken everywhere, but they also have their own Cambodian rial. And so typically you'll pay in US dollars and you'll get a mix of change. It's a little bit strange to get used to at the beginning, but you'll totally get the hang. It's pretty straightforward. So $1 is 4,000 rial, and you'll get the hang of it. Everything is super duper cheap if you barter. If you don't barter, they will try to charge you crazy prices. for stuff that's not that great. So make sure you barter. Your money goes a long, long way in Cambodia. It really does. I'm amazed at how far our money can actually go on accommodation and transport. The only things that are expensive are the visas and the main attractions. Talking about visas, visas are pretty expensive. They're $30 a pop for a 1-month tourist visa. One really annoying thing about the visas is that they charge even for children. We had to buy a visa, a $30 visa for our baby. That was really annoying. We're from the UK. Most countries, including the UK, are around $30, most Western countries. And so it feels like a lot of money. I have heard that if your children travel on your passport, then you don't have to pay for the visa. Oh, 1 visa per passport. You can now get an e-visa, which does make things a lot easier. And considering the borders can be a little bit tricky, if you're flying in, it's pretty straightforward. We tend to go overland. If you're going overland, the borders can get a little bit scammy. So it's good to have your visas ready in advance. Language, pretty much everyone you're going to run into in Siem Reap, Phnom Penh, Battambang, down in the south, they're going to speak English. It's great. English is really well taught. So thank you to all those charities and NGOs. English is really widespread in the cities and towns. And then you cycle for like 5 minutes into the village and no English. The main places you're going to go, pretty much everyone speaks English. Wi-Fi and SIMs. So staying connected is pretty easy in Cambodia. You can pick up tourist SIMs at the airport. Pretty much every corner will sell you a tourist SIM. And Wi-Fi is just everywhere in the hotels, the hostels, the cafes, the restaurants. You don't actually ever have to be disconnected if you don't want to be in Cambodia. Accommodation is so cool in Cambodia. It's one of those places where you can go super duper cheap. So if you're traveling on a tight budget, you can stay in a room for around £5. £5 will sometimes even include a bathroom. It won't even necessarily be shared bathroom, but it will be cold water and it will just be a fan room. If you double that to about £10, you're looking at AC and hot water. If you double it again, you're going to get a really stylish, nice looking room, often in a place that will have a little pool. If you double it again, you're starting to get into luxury and boutique places. Your money will go so far on accommodation in Cambodia. Oh, and for family rooms are really common. Quite often the beds are actually really wide. We found that the single beds were typically wide enough for 2 people. So if you've got 2 kind of toddler, young age children that could share a bed, you're probably going to be fine with that. Dorms are really common, so you could actually rent a dorm room and maybe have 4 beds as a family. But once you're paying for 4 beds in a dorm, you might as well get a comfortable private family room, and that's going to mean that you've got a double bed for parents. And they don't tend to have bunk beds so much in family rooms. It tends to be lots of single beds. The rooms tend to be quite spacious. You do get a lot for your money with family rooms. I tend to use Booking.com and Agoda. If I'm with Booking.com, it tends to be cheaper. Agoda looks cheaper to begin with, but sometimes has hidden costs. So be careful if you're using. So be careful which one you're using for price. To be fair to Agoda, they do tend to have more boutique-y, interesting places. So I usually start out on Booking.com. We do have links below. I do tend to use Booking.com to start with, and then if they haven't got something that I want, I then go over to Agoda. So that's usually the way that we try to book accommodation. Food! I love the food in Cambodia. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. When I lived there, I just ate local all the time, and I would pay less than £1 typically, a British pound, for noodles and rice, and it was just amazing. If you are traveling in Cambodia and you want to try local foods, I recommend the mok, which is the national dish, and the lok lak is pretty good. And those dishes will cost you maybe £2-3. Most local dishes won't cost you more than about £3 unless you're eating at really high-end restaurants, and then you're looking at around £5-6 for a local dish. Western food kicks in at around £3. So if you're just wanting a giant bowl of French fries, because you know it's fried potato, it's not going to give anyone a bad stomach, then you're looking at around that kind of price. You can get burgers and other Western foods. You will be able to get a lot of foods that your children recognise, and I know it's really hard if you've got fussy eaters. If your kids are really into fruit and vegetables, then you are going to be spoilt for choice. There are so many tropical fruits and they're amazing, and I just think it's really exciting. We were weaning our baby whilst we were in Cambodia, and so I was we basically lived on bananas and tropical fruits, and it was pretty amazing. So he was having a diet of milk and tropical fruits pretty much, and the occasional French fry. So you will just find that you can get pretty much any food you want in the areas you're likely to visit in Cambodia. You'll see a few of these convenience stores around, and that's where you can buy pre-wrapped sealed snacks, and that'll include things like bread as well, something a bit more substantial. If you're just really struggling with the food, there is always something that you can find. Transport. So you're going to be in tuk-tuks, on bicycles, on foot. If you're going between places, there's minibuses and coaches. We travelled on an overnight bus. Yay, that was fun. The overnight buses were crazy, but kind of cool. They were actually surprisingly comfortable. The way we dealt with an overnight bus was, it's a long flat bed. It's not a bad size considering it's on a bus. And I wrapped myself around our baby, and Pete had his head at the other side, and he just held onto our valuables and slept with them as a bit of a pillow. So it was a squeeze. We got some sleep. Oh, and on the way back, our bus broke down. That was not fun, and we nearly missed our flight to Laos. But yeah, the transport's pretty good in general. It is just like crazy jumping a tuk-tuk kind of lifestyle when you're there. We use a sling for everything. You'll just see that it's pretty sweaty to begin with, and you acclimatise. We just had our baby in a sling the whole time, and I loved it. It gave me a lot of freedom, and I felt like I could keep him really safe and really close. But slings and prams are two very different things. We saw people with prams, and on the days when it was really hot, I was pretty jealous just seeing like a baby sat in a pram. But then the times when the roads were a bit rickety, the roads were too bumpy, and people were trying to navigate with their prams, I was grateful for the sling. Basically, both work. You know what you tend to use, and what I'd say is in Cambodia you can make both work depending on what you're doing. We saw people around the towns and Angkor Wat using prams. So I wouldn't say it's pram friendly, it's like a pram possible. I'd say it's sling friendly because it was really, really sweaty, but we definitely made it work. And once we acclimatized, I was so happy to be using the sling. Safety wise, personal safety, I always feel safe in Cambodia, but that is because I go out during the day. I was actually in Cambodia, just me and my baby boy for the first few days as Pete was flying over. So really, I did feel really safe. But like I say, I was out during the day and I was back in the evenings. So that's usually the best way to keep safe. In saying that, if you go out in the evenings, you're not going to suddenly run into loads of trouble. Just, you don't want to be out after hours and everyone's getting drunk and crazy. They can be a bit thievy, so do be careful with your personal possessions. But in terms of personal safety, I'm pretty sure you're going to be fine. We always felt safe. Of course, there's a risk anywhere. There's a risk in your hometown. Health. This is where it gets pretty tricky. So health is probably the biggest question mark over going to Cambodia. Yes, there are mosquitoes. And yes, there is malaria and dengue and things like that. Typically though, if you are in the bigger towns and the cities, the risk is statistically much, much lower. For us, we just go for prevention. We make sure that we aren't out during the main mosquito time, so like dusk and dawn, we try to avoid, especially dusk. We tend to make sure we have long pants and long sleeves, and then with our baby, it sounds a bit strange even though it was hot, we just put really thin socks over, and we tended to douse his clothes in the anti-mosquito stuff. A really good baby-friendly natural one, and that worked absolutely fine. I don't think he actually got bitten whilst we were there. If you're in Cambodia and you need a hospital, don't go local, don't go international if it's serious. If it's serious, you are just going to have to get to Bangkok. We have used both local and international hospitals in Cambodia, and they're just not that great. The international ones look really good, but actually they don't seem to really know what they're doing. I know that's really scary, but you are not that far from Bangkok. Always make sure you have good insurance. We've done a whole video on insurance and the kind of things to look for, because actually picking insurance can feel a bit of a nightmare. I honestly think after you watch our video on insurance, where I think I'm wearing the same t-shirt, I do change honest. If you check out that video, we break down the kind of things you want to be looking for in insurance and the insurer that we often go with. Locally, you can get loads of things. We actually travel with a first aid kit, and locally you can buy loads of things over the counter in Cambodia, and it's amazing what Google can do nowadays. But if it's more serious, yeah, you've just got to get out of there and get to Bangkok. Bangkok actually has some of the best world-class hospitals in the world. So you go from kind of questionable healthcare to the best in the world. You're not that far from Bangkok. Toilets! Yay! Amazing subject. Everyone loves good potty talk. Toilets in Cambodia typically are the squatty toilets. Typically not that clean, but you will find that if you are in the main cities and the main towns, there's often a Western toilet, but you will probably need to take your own paper or tissues or wet wipes, and it is difficult for changing facilities. Very first trip, I took a little fold-out baby change thing, which was super helpful, super compact, super helpful. Those little nappy changing mats are fantastic, and they are compact, but if you're traveling super light, I would say use a scarf or a blanket or a pashmina, that kind of thing, because in Asia you can throw it in the wash and have it clean again the next day as well. So I tend to just use something like that, but it's up to you. I'll put links to both kind of things below. And we found ourselves having to change him in the back of tuk-tuks, on the hostel bed, and sometimes we just sneak into the posher hotels and posher restaurants, and they did tend to have baby changing tables, but those were the really high-end places, and they were super friendly. They didn't seem to mind. They were just enamored that we were going in there with a baby. So speaking of nappies, milk, wipes, dummies, all that kind of stuff. When I was in the convenience stores, I had a little look around. It looks to me that you can just get all this stuff over there. If you think, people have babies all over the world. And what I did notice is they were a bit pricey. It's quite a luxury. A lot of the things that we think are now standard for babies tend to be a luxury in Cambodia. So the nappies were quite expensive, dummies were quite expensive, spare bottles. When I say expensive, they just seemed a little bit more than you'd pay over in the UK. Nothing crazy expensive, just a little bit annoying to have to buy. So what I'd say is take your own stuff, but don't panic. If you get there, you've lost something, forgot something, you can buy pretty much everything you need for a baby in the little supermarkets and convenience stores in Cambodia. Speaking of packing, I'm just going to give you a quick run through of the kind of things that we took to Cambodia. Little bottles of hand sanitizer go a long way. I would really recommend taking those. We got through loads of those, and take a few little ones because you just then have them everywhere when you need them. Sunscreen, but take the spray because you don't really want to be rubbing cream into yourself. You find that quite often somehow, even when you try to stay clean, it's still dusty and still dirty, and the spray is just a bit easier to apply. Of course, you need to be taking sunscreen and shampoo and maybe some after sun and mosquito repellent, all those kind of things. Take the baby version if you're traveling with babies or toddlers, and then just use it for all of you rather than taking an adult one and a baby one. I would just say take the baby ones. The baby ones tend to be a bit more gentle anyway, so we just found that we took one and the whole family would use it. We travelled with a sling, so a lot of families travelling with prams, and so it's up to you if you're a sling family or a pram family. You're going to be fine with either in Cambodia. The mosquito net, I really recommend that you look into this. We had this crazy funny pop-up mosquito net for him, and we found that it worked an absolute treat, but we threw it away at the end of the trip because the zip slowly died. By the end of it, we're having to carefully zip it. So the zip did die in it, but we paid less than $10 for it. You can also get something called the arc. So you kind of got these two extremes. When I did my research, you had two extremes. You had the glorified washing basket with a zip, which we went for, and you also have the arc. Looking back, I kind of wish we got the arc, because the arc, you buy it once and then it'll last all your trips and all your children. If you're just going on one trip, I thought the glorified washing basket thing that we'll put the link to was pretty amazing. But if you know you're going to do a lot of travel and you're going to have, you're going to be in hot countries and you're planning more babies, then seriously consider the arc. Or if you're not bothered about traveling super light, then definitely consider the arc. It was pretty stressful towards the end of the trip trying to get the zip to work on the laundry basket thing. So I mentioned taking one of those changing mats. We usually take a few simple multi-purpose toys. So we took a teddy bear, a few of those cups that stack together, and his favourite book. We tend to just wear long loose clothing and flip-flops. We love the freedom of packing light, so we usually go really light. We are going to work on a video that gives you an idea of the kind of things to take to hot countries as a family, because it is hard packing as a family. It's hard packing as a family, and it's hard packing light. So if you have any more questions, please just pop them below. So what are people's general attitudes towards families in Cambodia? Amazing! People are super family focused, they're super friendly, they're so excited that if you have babies or children, whatever age, even teenagers, they just love seeing families travel. We found people to be very friendly. On a practical note, under 12s don't have to pay to get into Angkor, and typically they don't just charge for extra with kids. Typically kids go free to a lot of things, and there doesn't tend to be hidden charges for them. I'm not going to kid you, we found it tough at times, we really did. We had those hot, sweaty, dusty, crazy moments. We're like, why are we doing this? And then we had those amazing moments where we're like, yeah, this is why we do this. And this is why we chose Cambodia. Cambodia is beautiful. We made some incredible memories there. We absolutely loved it. It's definitely one of the more adventurous options for families. If you're thinking of going, feel free to ask us questions. It's really tricky making family travel videos because everyone from toddlers through to teenagers is included in that. Every family has its own thing. So if you've traveled there as a family, please drop a comment and let other families know about your experience. Maybe say how old your children were when you were traveling there, and just give any advice and tips and bits of experience. The more we do this, the more we share our experience as traveling families, the more we're going to inspire other people to do it.
The sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. I'll take you to a place we can see it all.
Do you like the pancakes? Is that a tasty pancake? Are you saving a bit for later?